We're now going to describe with this short documentary of Nibiru, Planet X, Wormwood star. There is a huge space rock that has entered our solar system, and indeed the establishments know this is happening. Governments across the world are keeping this as a huge cover-up of these end times. Let me now describe to you about these cataclysms. There is one extra planet in our solar system. It was known to the ancient people by many different names. The Sumerians called it Nibiru, and the Bible refers it to as Wormwood. It was known to create epic cataclysms on Earth each time it passed through our solar system, approximately every 3,600 years. On its long elliptical orbit extended out into open space, every time it passes, it causes a pole shift, a crustal shift. Actually, Earth's magnetic core is pushed away violently. The crust separates, slides over the magma. Each time, the polar ice caps form in a new place, old ones melting. Sea levels worldwide. The plates move during these cataclysms, resulting in great quakes, and mountains build up. And to that, the extreme lashing by space debris and Planet X Nibiru, the tail. This tail forms an atmosphere and falling like a wall of frozen fire. Mammoths' carcasses indicate such changes, and also other evidence collected by Immanuel Velikovsky and Charles Hapgood and others. It is described in various folklore legends about the great upheavals of the past. Frozen mammoths showed up that they died suddenly, within hours, drowning, then freezing immediately, and covered up with volcanic ashes from the volcanoes active at these times. Mammoths were showing changes with climax as they were in large groups with plant life typical as the temperature zones found in their stomachs. As according to Zechariah, they are headed towards next such periodic pole shifts. Signs heralding next arrival of Nibiru are already here. And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. They ate and drank and married until the days of Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them. Or behold, the fig tree and any other tree, when they shoot forth, you see, and they now that the summer is nigh. At the hand of likewise, thee when you see all these things come and past, know that it is near at the doorstep. In prophecies of all time that have been around for centuries and coming from many different sources, the same theme over and over: global natural cataclysms that bring destruction to mankind, referring apparently to the times we now live in. They point to the coming pole shift, which has been known periodically, and those was often associated with the millennium. The Hopi speaks of the creation of 4 worlds, 3 of which were destroyed in the succession. It left their poor posts at the north and south ends of the world, where they were stationed to keep the earth properly rotating, and the world, out of balance, spun around crazily, then rolled over twice. This was put where the water was in water, where the land was waves, higher than mountains, rolled up upon the land. Continents broke open and sank beneath the seas. The present fourth world is to be destroyed by a pole shift and the flooding. The Bible in the Revelations is often quoted and is most definitely reporting the occurrence of a pole shift, often in the symbolic language: hail of the stones, earthquakes, exploding volcanoes that darken the skies with ash and fire. From the sky waters turn bitter, and the red with the red dust, and the heat of the long day hot on earth. The desert of the red dragon in the sky. The appearances from the sky are described as creators such as the dragon, or the lion, or the scorpion. The Bible has a description of a scene by people without scientific knowledge of today, impressed greatly by what they see and witnessed. Reading the words of the Revelations, one can see those words that apply to the cataclysms without doubts. The Mother Shipton was a 15th century Yorkshire lady who was known for stunning descriptions of the end days in her writings, when the preachers seemed alive with moments, with the boats like fishes swim beneath the sea, when men like birds shall occur, the sky when half the world, deep trenches and blood shall die. For those who live this century through in fear and trembling, this shall do also flee to the mountains and to the dense areas, force of the wild fences. For storms will rage and the oceans roar on the seas and the shore, and as he blows his wondrous horn, old worlds will die and new worlds will be born. The fiery dragon will cross the skies 6 times before the earth shall die. Mankind will tremble and be frightened by for what 6 heralds and this prophecy. For 7 days and 7 nights man will watch this awesome sight. The tides will rise beyond our oceans, away from the shores, and then the mountains will begin to run, and the earthquakes split the plain to shore, and the flooding waters will be rushing and will flood the lands with such a surprise that mankind, cowardly in muddy areas, will snarl and his fellow men. And when the dragon tail is gone, man forgets and smiles and carries on to apply himself too late. For mankind has earned and deserved fate. His masked smile, his false gender will serve the gods, their anger stir as they will be sent back to the dragon. To life of the sky his tail will crack open, the earth will open, the earth, and the man shall flee king, lord, and serve. But slowly they are rooted out to seek diminishing water spouts, and men will die of thirst before the oceans rise to mount the shore the shore will crack. See, you think this is strange, it will come true. It is also relates to the modern times. Edgar Casey is one of the best known for his predictions regarding to the end times. The earth will be broken up in many places, and there will be the shifting of the poles. It would also come of shifting of the equilibrium of the earth itself in space, the upheavals in the interior of the earth, and the shifting by differences of the axis respecting the positions from the polars. The center and the indications are some of those that already begun. To the present day, speak of the desire messages that they've been given concerning the end times of this world, often in the form of the apocalypse versions, where they are showing sights of a disaster of the earth. They are understood by the contactees of the versions of the future most desire for this to be a warning that these beings are trying to communicate to mankind. See, prophecies often seem to be desired from one another. What is truth? When compared to one that will find out that they have been interested by a number of Mother Shipton, nor she with a sleeping prophet from Kentucky. See, again, folks, in fact, all this is truth, but one must sort it out. Less of the differences and more of the similarities. It is more like the proverbial blind men walking around the elephant, each describing a different part they have encountered prophecy. It gets packed up for the extended audience, but if one reads beyond the surface of the deeper meaning, one will find out remarkably similar line. But the talk of the end of the world has been around for centuries. For at least past 200 years, men have predicted that the end is to arrive at such a date. The announced dates have come and gone with nothing happening. People are in Europe of such talk of generally smile when they hear about it. They are treated as cries of yet another alarmist. Would then anybody call for Pope John Paul II of Doomsday alarmist? In 1917, 3 shepherd children claimed to have been visited by an apparition of Mother Mary in a small village of Fatima in Portugal. According to their accounts, they were presented with 3 visions. The first 2 were disclosed in 1941 by Lucia Santos, the oldest of the 3 children. The first secret was a vision of hell. Our Lady showed us a great sea of fire, which seemed to be under the earth. The second secret was supposedly a prediction about the end of the World War and the coming World War II. However, Lucia did not reveal the third secret, being not yet convinced that God had clearly authorized her to act. Lucia wrote the secret down in 1944, sealed it with an envelope, not to be opened until 1960, as by that time it will be more clearly understood, and because the Blessed Virgin wishes it to be. When 1960 arrived, rather than releasing the third secret, the Vatican published the official press release stating that it was most probable that the secret would remain forever under absolute seal, because the world is not ready for it. Then in 1 year after that, of the year 2000, the Vatican announced the official publication of the third secret and told the world that it was very interesting of the Christians of the 12th century and the failed assassination attempt of the Pope in 1981, along with the text of the secret, when the Cardinal published a commentary in which he stated those who expected the exciting apocalyptic revelations about the end of the world and the future course of the history will probably prove to be disappointed. No great mystery is revealed, nor is the future unveiled. Fatima does not satisfy our curiosity in this way. However, this is to be considerable amount of evidence in the record, including the previous testimony by the Cardinal himself. In the interview for Jesus magazine in 1984, Cardinal was asked whether he had read the text of the third secret and why it had not been revealed. He acknowledged that he had read the third secret and stated in a part that it involves the quote importance of a impression of end times and dangerous threatening of the faith and the life of the Christian, and therefore the life of the world. Also, therefore, some of the critics claimed that the text of the third secret released by the Vatican is not the real secret, of at least not the full secret. It is alleged that these secrets engaged in the descriptions to cover up the existence of the full document containing information about the end days in the apocalypse. Regarding to the third secret, the Fatima Pope, John Paul, told gathering in German with the priests in 1980. Because of the seriousness of the contents of these predictions, the office have referred it to hold the publication in order to prevent the world's power of communication to make certain moves. On the other hand, it should have been significant for all Christians to know this. If there is a message in which it was written that the oceans will flood entire sections of the earth, and that from one moment to the next millions of people will perish truly, the publication of such of a message is no longer something to be so much desired. There is no point in really wanting to publish this secret. The message in October of 1981 issued of the Germans of Tim's death, of the magazine reporting on the Pope John Paul, the second discussion with this secret group of German Catholics on November 1980. In 1982, when asked why the third Fatima message that had not been revealed to the world, Pope John Paul replied to a gathering of bishops in Germany by asking, what good would it do to alarm the world to the fact that the oceans would leave their basins and wash up on continents where millions would die by the hour? Many wish to know simply for curiosity and a taste for the sensational, but they will forget also implies the responsibility that they only seek the satisfaction of their curiosity, and that is dangerous. if at the same time they are not disposed to do something, and if they are convinced that it's not impossible to do anything against evil. What of the third secret of Fatima, which the Pope has encouraged, announced to be about Pope's assassination, does again beyond belief that this Vatican has purchased with the funds of the faithful site in Arizona and built an observatory at Mount Graham in 1993 to watch the skies. It is a connection, the Arizona University. However, the Vatican has the larger part of control over the observatory, looking at deep space. Objects, unusual optical design of the novel mirror fabrication techniques allow the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope to conduct observations in the optical and infrared and usually sharp focusing observations of unusual precision and could be achieved by a regular basis. Among the notable results from this telescope has been discovery, classification of some 100 trans objects, most of them fainter than magnitude 21. The Vatican apparently very concerned about observing deep space. According to the former Vatican employee, he discovered files deep within the Vatican's computer, a file titled Wormwood, along with the signs of a direct link between the Hubble Space Telescope and Pope. Optionally explained about Wormwood, meaning make bitter. The curse of mentioned several times in the Bible refers of a coming judgment bringing bitter to the world, all well as the mark of the days in Revelations. Wormwood is the name given to a star that brings destruction upon the world. On April the 5th, 1997, Father Martin said in an interview at Art Bell, "Those at the highest level of the Vatican administration know the acknowledgement of what is going to be in space and what is approaching us could be of great importance in the next 15 to 20 years. Lucy herself is reported to have stated that the third secret contains apocalyptic content, and at one association, she even specified the apocalyptic captures and also the range that includes the chapter of the verse cited by Pope and Fatima on May 13th, year 2000. The second, and then we are in the fact that the midst of Revelation, the chapter, the 12th verse, the third, and another, the sign in the heavens, and behold, a great dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his head 7 horns. On January the 25th, 1983, NASA infrared astronomical satellite IRAS was launched. On January the 30th, 1983, an article appeared in the New York Times reporting on IRAS mission. Clues get warm in search for Planet X by John Noble. Something out there, he explained, beyond the farthest reaches of our known solar system seems to be tugging at Uranus and Neptune. some gravitational forces keeps moving and two giant planets causing these strange orbits. The force suggests that the present faraway object, unseen, a large celestial body, may be long sought as Planet X. On December the 31st, 1983, a front-page article appeared in the Washington Post reporting on what the IRAS has discovered. A heavenly body possibly as large as a giant planet, Jupiter, so close to Earth that it would be part of this solar system and as being found in the direction of the constellation Orion by an orbiting telescope, infrared astronomical satellite. It also goes on to say in the article it appeared in September the 10th, 1984, the edition of the US News, The World Report. It states, last year, IRAS detected an object of intense infrared. For hundreds of years before the active search for the plan of astronomers were observing the orbits of outer planets. This caused a fury of activity going into the early 1980s, in which there were calculations and others estimating the approximate size of a planet, this extra planet in the solar system that would account for these observations. He was remarkably close to the actual size of the 12th planet, which again, the calculations. They launched the IRAS telescope in 1983 to search for Planet X, and they found it. It was located by infrared. During 1983 and 1984, IRAS produced observations of a 10th planet, so robust that it had made one of the astronomers on the project to say, all that remains for us is to name it, then which point the information had become very, very important. It stated that NASA then stated that a tiny differences in the weight of an outer planet explained in all this were the case. Why would these astronomers for all these centuries be confused and noted the observations they had and also calculated the weight to explain of these observations to begin with the course where we were being fooled and lied to? Wormwood, the prophecy, and the coming times for centuries have been privately acknowledged. The Vatican, inner circles, and many other secret societies, they know this. The signs were known, described in great detail, through not much certainty about the timing. A small group of individuals within the US government and NASA became aware of the pole shift shortly after the incident in 1947, when the contact of the US government was made. They were informed about the 12th planet approach and the appearances, timeline, but said nothing as they had not located it themselves. At first, there was credible evidence and disbelief in the argument that aliens must be lying to them. For the matter of the dark reasons, this announcement was viewed as descriptions of the approach and orbit given to them in detail did not fit with the human astronomical understanding. But this soon changed. by the same time, the signs that alien ambassadors warned have started and manifest. Changes have already begun, and the known to the year science and the meteorologists, the violence, storms, unusual weather patterns, severe and long-lasting droughts, increased frequency of hurricanes, strange rain patterns, general warning of these aliens. Since about the end of the 1970s, there's been a marked upswing in the average global temperatures. This is to the human activity. This is what they state here on Earth, and it's estimated that the average temperatures of the global has increased by 0.67 Celsius degrees over the last century, with most of the increase occurring since 1970s. This is a cast of the category of global warming, yet the cause of uncertainty, which of you as citizens or even scientists could state the cause with a century. All attempts to explain the changes based on the global warming from the greenhouse effect will run into the stages, as the weather will refuse to be predictable, and the reason of the lies deep within the Earth's core, and the area of the meteorologists refuse to consider those. Their predictions on the atmosphere will never be based on the right parameters. We're all telling you that the Earth itself will be warmer, and this affects deeply with weather patterns. Another change to which one could point out to the continuous rise of global sea levels, measuring as few inches of rise worldwide, which is not entirely due to where we see the locations of the atmospheres, heating of the Earth's oceans. For the world's oceans experienced to the net warming of 1.5 to 3 degrees Celsius over the past 50 years. Scientists also linked the warming temperatures to the significant amounts with the mountain glacier ice, the sheets in Greenland and Antarctic, and the polar ice and the Antarctic that has been observed since 1979. If we look at the strength of the Earth's magnetic field since about 1840, we can see a sharp downward trend. Projecting this forward in time would suggest a total lack of magnetic field for the Earth in about 1,500 to 1,600 years. It is also known that studies of these explanations of the minerals of ancient clay pottery, the Earth's magnetic field was approximately twice as strong in the Roman times as it was now other. These dates calculated indicates that some of these 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, the magnetic field strength was similar to the present, and yet another sign of Planet X's presence in the vicinity changes in the churning movements of the Earth's liquid outer core are bringing increasing magnetic field problems, causing wandering compasses, malfunctioning instruments, and crashing planes. See folks, all these predictions starting from a heavenly body in our solar system, the Frightener, Wormwood, the Destroyer, Nibiru, by different scientists have called it different names, right from a long time ago in different centuries, right through to the information that Immanuel Velikovsky and others have noticed the changes, and indeed going through where frozen mammoth carcasses have been scientifically searched noticing from many thousands of years ago, and even the food inside them had stayed in their stomachs, predicting the exact dates of when they passed away 3,600 years ago, of a huge pole shift, a change with weather patterns. And now we're seeing the weather patterns for this year alone. For the past 5 years, our skies have been looking very strange. Volcanic activity has built up. Hurricanes, earthquakes. Something is different because those of us in our Nibiru Planet X community can remember what it was like in 1980. Peace, calm, and harmony. But now, something is happening. I'm going to come back to you with more documentaries speaking of the changes, just by making sure that other people can suddenly see what we're talking about looking around the corner and seeing the differences. Please subscribe to this channel. It is very important for all of us in our community, and thank you for more and more people coming along and noticing that we are back to carry on the path through talking about Nibiru, Planet X. Please take care. Have a fantastic day wherever you are across the world. From Matt Rogers.